Baking is not that difficult. You really have to just follow all the steps, read the recipe, prepare all your ingredients, doing a little bit of work before you get into baking. Hi everyone, I'm Dominique Ansel, pastry chef in New York City at Dominique Ansel Bakery. So today we're going to be making chocolate and peanut butter cake. The bottom is chocolatey and crunchy. The mousse, it's creamy, and it's finished off with the ganache. One of the recipes of my new coming book, Everyone Can Bake. First step is the caramelized puff rice. We're going to use this as a base for our cake. So here I have some puff rice. I have corn syrup. Very often the corn syrup comes quite thick, almost like a honey consistency. And I put it in the microwave, it's going to liquefy the corn syrup. Pour over the puff rice, add granulated sugar. So once we have the sugar mixed up together, we're going to sprinkle just like this, not too much on the tray. We're going to place this in the oven at 350 degrees until it's caramelized. So this is about ready. It's been in the oven for about 15 minutes. It's like a light golden caramelized. We have our caramelized puff rice and we're going to mix it with the chocolate. I'm going to put this in the microwave just for a little bit. So I usually don't use microwave that much, but I find it like very easy to melt chocolate. You can see it's perfectly melted very quickly. Once our chocolate is fully melted, and it should be hot, so we're just going to pour everything at once. So the goal here is really to coat all the crispy rice with the chocolate. You could also just keep this in your fridge, in the kitchen, and eat it with breakfast. I use a ring mold. Then to make it easier to release from the ring mold, I use an acetate sheet. So it's the same height as the ring mold. I just place it inside. Then while this is still warm, I'm gonna pour this caramelized puff rice on the bottom. And I'm gonna push it down. And it's gonna be a very nice, crunchy, caramelized layer on the bottom of the cake. Once we have our base ready, we're gonna place this in the fridge until it's cold and our mousse is ready. Now we're ready for our peanut butter mousse. It's actually quite simple. The first step is going to be to mix the gelatin powder into the water. While the gelatin is setting, we're going to make what we call a crème anglaise. Start off with some yolks and some sugar. Just a little whisk, that will do the trick. We're going to put the milk in the pot, medium heat, and we're going to bring this to a boil. Take just a little bit of this and pour into the yolks. This step is called tempering. Tempering is very important. You want to make sure you don't pour the boiling milk into the yolks right away. It will cook the yolks immediately. So you pour a little bit of hot milk into the yolks, you stir it a little bit. Then we're going to add the yolks mixture back into the pot with the milk. And we're going to cook this on the stove very, very slowly. So we're going to go very low heat. If you try to boil it or go too fast, it's going to cook the yolks, and that's not what we're looking for. So always stirring the pot and scraping the bottom. I always go to the middle a little bit and then to the side. You can see here this is getting quite thick, almost creamy. The crème anglaise is now pretty much done. I'm going to add the gelatin. As you can see, it's fully set. I'm just going to scoop it, place it into the crème anglaise. While it's still hot, it's the perfect moment. Give it a good whisk, and then we're going to add our peanut butter. Simple peanut butter here. I also like the chunky one, the one with the pieces. So it's really up to you. You don't have to have something smooth. And while it's still hot, so the peanut butter is actually going to melt into the crème anglaise. It smells so good. One of my childhood memories, my mom bringing this spread, this beautiful brown and smooth spread. She spread it on a baguette. I ate it as a snack as a kid. And she bought it once, and then she bought it a second time, and then the supermarket was out of stock. And I never had it again. And the next time I had peanut butter was actually when I first came to America, and I had a flashback. It took me back to when I was a kid eating a snack with my mom, and I was like, this is what it was. That was peanut butter that I ate. I love peanut butter. It's comfort food for me. So once we add the peanut butter here, the texture becomes quite thick, so not to worry. We're gonna put this on the side, and while this is cooling down a little bit, we're gonna whip our cream. Just heavy cream, And we're gonna whip this until what we call the medium peak. So not too soft, not too firm. I'm actually going to pour this into a mixing bowl just to help cooling it down a little bit. So the consistency should be pretty much like a light whipped cream and still soft. We're gonna add just like maybe like 2 little spoons in the beginning. Mix this very gently. So now I'm gonna add the rest of the whipped cream right here. So we keep the volume and we're gonna have a nice, very light texture and consistency. And once I don't see the cream anymore, that's it, beautiful. This is fully set now. I'm going to pour the mousse into the center, so I'm going to fill it to the top. And with an offset spatula, I'm going to smooth out the top and make it flat. And I use the side of the acetate here to scrape my spatula to keep everything clean. If you have a little bit of leftover, you can always put this in a mixing bowl and eat it for breakfast, maybe. We're gonna put this in the freezer now. And now into ganache. So a ganache is a preparation with just cream and chocolate and butter. We're gonna use the ganache to glaze the cake. We're gonna start with the cream and we're gonna bring it to a boil. Then we have our chocolate. It is the same chocolate I used earlier, a 66% chocolate. I put half of the cream, just melt everything until it's all combined smooth. I'm gonna add the rest of the cream and stir a little bit more. And here, the entire chocolate will be fully melted. Everything is smooth and melted. We're gonna add room temperature butter. That's very important. You want the butter to slowly melt into the ganache. Nice shiny color. And this is ready to glaze our cake. Place the cake on a glazing rack. Still frozen. We just remove the ring mold and the acetate. Plastic wrap into a sheet tray underneath. Well, the trick for this is to go fast. I'm gonna pour everything in the center. I'm gonna put a lot of it just right here. Then I'm gonna take my spatula and I'm gonna push everything to the side, just right here. So you can see I missed a little spot right here, which is okay. I'm going to take a little bit more of the ganache and add it to the side right here. Once the cake is glazed, slide it under the cake, lift it up a little bit, then put your hand under. I like to use all of my fingers to hold it straight. And I'm going to use the back of the spatula to scrape all the little excess that drips down on the bottom of the cake.
It gives me anxiety watching you do that. I'm like, don't drop it, don't drop it.
I've done this a few times. I'm going to use the full length of the spatula and drop my cake right in the middle of my cake board. And this is a really cool trick. You just fold it in half, you lift it up. You don't have to get too dirty. And then you take the top and you squeeze it down. And now you have saved everything. You keep everything pretty much clean. I saved a little bit of the caramelized puff rice that is coated with chocolate. And I'm going to place a few pieces on the side. I like to put quite a bit on one side, and then I'll add a few pieces of the toasted peanuts. So I keep this quite simple. We're gonna slice into the cake a hot knife to cut through it very, very clean and very easily. You can hear this like beautiful sound of like crunchy bottom. I can feel the mousse like very soft and tender. So we have like a few different textures right here that makes this cake really unique. And here's perfect slice. Very good. The bottom is caramelized and chocolatey and crunchy, and it's finished off with a ganache that is creamy on the outside as well. 3 different textures, very simple recipe, something you can do at home very easily. I hope you enjoy the recipe in the book and that you find your own way to be creative. And if you want the recipe, click on the link below or just buy the book. And one of the questions I ask people all the time is like, what is the first thing you've ever done in your kitchen? And 99% of the time, people tell me that's something sweet. Cake, a pie, a tart, a cookie that you've done with your mother, with your grandma. profound childhood memories.